Two sports, both built for the best athletes in the world. Both claim to be the toughest game on the planet. And for years, the debate has been framed the same way every single time. Who hits harder? Who runs faster? Who has bigger athletes? Who bleeds more? That is the wrong debate entirely. Because the real difference between rugby and American football has nothing to do with who is physically tougher. It is about what each sport asks of the human brain. And once you understand that difference, this conversation changes forever. Let us start with what everyone already knows. American football players are enormous. The average NFL lineman weighs over 310 pounds and runs a 40-yard dash in under 5 seconds. They are among the most physically developed athletes in the history of human sport. But here is what most people do not say out loud. An NFL game lasts 60 minutes on the clock, but the ball is actually in play for roughly 11 of those 60 minutes. 11 minutes. The rest is huddles, timeouts, replays, coaches calling plays, and players walking back to the line. 11 minutes of action in a 60-minute game. A rugby match lasts 80 minutes. The ball is in play for approximately 35 to 40 of those 80 minutes. Same sport, same field, 3 times the live action. But that is still not the real difference. The real difference is what happens inside those minutes. In American football, before every single play, the quarterback receives a call from the sideline. A specific play, a specific formation, a specific assignment for every player on the field. 11 athletes who have rehearsed that exact sequence hundreds of times in practice execute it for 4 to 7 seconds. Then it stops. Everyone resets. A new play comes in. The sequence repeats. Football is a scripted sport. Brilliantly designed, brutally physical, and executed under enormous pressure. But scripted. Rugby is not scripted. In rugby, when the ball is in play, there is no stoppage, no huddle, no play call from the sideline. 15 players must read what is happening in real time, make individual decisions in fractions of a second, communicate constantly with each other, and adapt continuously as the game evolves. And they must do this for 40 minutes of live action without a script. Think about what that means for the brain. An NFL quarterback is one of the most mentally demanding positions in all of sport. Reading the defense, processing the play, making the throw under pressure. It is an extraordinary cognitive task. But that task lasts 4 to 7 seconds, and then it stops. The quarterback walks back to the huddle, receives the next play, and prepares for the next 4 to 7 seconds. A rugby fly half makes that same kind of decision, but they make it continuously, for 80 minutes, without stopping, without a coach telling them what play is coming next, without a huddle to reset in. And it is not just the fly half. Every player on a rugby pitch is making real-time decisions on every single play. The flanker at the breakdown, the center reading the defensive line, the fullback deciding whether to counterattack or kick to touch. 15 players, all improvising, all simultaneously. Football builds specialists. Your job as an NFL cornerback is to cover wide receivers. That is it. You do not carry the ball. You do not block. You do not kick. You cover receivers. You have practiced that one job so many times that it becomes as close to automatic as a human skill can get. In rugby, every player on the pitch must tackle, carry, pass, communicate, support, and make tactical decisions. The prop in the scrum must also be ready to catch a ball, carry hard into contact, and then arrive at the next breakdown immediately. There are no specialists hiding in safe corners of the game. But here is where it gets interesting. Because football has something rugby does not. Consequences with no recovery time. In football, one mistake does not just cost you possession. It can end a drive, change the momentum of the game, and put your team in a position that takes the entire next quarter to recover from. And you knew it was coming. You knew the play. You rehearsed it. You had time to think. And you still got it wrong. That specific pressure, the pressure of executing a known task perfectly in front of millions of people, is something rugby almost never replicates. Because in rugby, things go wrong constantly and the game keeps moving. You cannot dwell on a mistake. There is no time. The next phase is already happening. Football players carry their mistakes in slow motion. Rugby players have to forget theirs in real time. And then there is the substitution question. In American football, substitutions are unlimited. Specialists come on and off the field constantly. Fresh legs for every kick return. A different package for third and long. The physical load is managed and distributed across rosters of 53 players. Rugby allows 8 substitutions. Once a player leaves the field, they cannot return except for a blood injury. 15 players carry the physical and mental load for 80 minutes. By the time a rugby game reaches its final 20 minutes, the players on that pitch are not making decisions with fresh minds. They are making high-stakes, real-time decisions with bodies running on empty and brains that have been processing continuous information for over an hour. That is a different kind of pressure than anything a substitution-friendly sport can replicate. So which sport is actually harder? The honest answer is that they are hard in completely different ways. Football is hard because it demands perfect execution of a known task under enormous physical and psychological pressure. The consequence of failure is visible, immediate, and replayed in slow motion for the entire world to see. Rugby is hard because it demands continuous improvisation under physical exhaustion with no script, no specialist protection, and no pause to reset. Football builds athletes who execute perfectly under pressure. Rugby builds athletes who improvise perfectly under everything. Neither is harder than the other in an absolute sense. But they are asking completely different questions of the human brain. And understanding the question your sport is asking is the first step to training the answer. If you play rugby, your sport is not asking you to be perfect. It is asking you to be ready, ready to read, ready to decide, ready to act, and then ready to do it again, immediately, for 80 minutes straight. Football asks you to be ready for one play at a time. Rugby asks you to be ready for everything, all the time, for 80 minutes straight. Both sports are hard, but only one of them never lets you rest. If this changed how you see your sport, drop a comment below. Rugby player or football fan, I want to know which side you are on. And subscribe, because on Tuesday we are breaking down the one mental skill that separates good rugby players from elite ones, and it has nothing to do with talent. See you Tuesday.